So, if you haven't heard, there's some huge drama going on with the Cavinder twins right now. A news company named The Free Press did an interview with them. The Cavinder twins invited them into their home, and the Free Press conducted an off-camera interview. Allegedly, they lied about the premise of the interview and took several statements from the twins out of context to create a narrative that wasn't originally a part of the interview. This is the statement the Cavinder twins put on Twitter. The interview for this article was obtained by a false pretense that it would be written about life after NEL, why we didn't take our fifth year, our passions, and business opportunities. We were specifically told via the publication the context would be to see the Cavinders as a very important story, not only in the context of women's college sports, but new media culture and business. They're building a hugely successful brand, and they're at the forefront of a new space. And we think that's exciting and newsworthy. We discussed with our team and met the media opportunity openly after reviewing the intentions. Haley and I welcomed this man into our home. He followed us throughout the entire weekend, asking us questions and understanding what goes on in our daily lives. After the weekend, we had a sit-down interview in our kitchen for over an hour and was only asked one question regarding our physical looks. I'm not going to read the second half of the statement because it doesn't add any additional information, but I will leave it up on the screen for everyone to read. The statement is written in an excellent format, which I appreciate. State the facts first, then give your opinion and blast the opposition. Unfortunately, what they described isn't anything new in the media. Ambush interview culture is normalized in our society. We see it happen to politicians, controversial figures, and celebrities all the time. The difference is people excuse the behavior because it usually happens to someone they don't like. What happened to the Cavinder twins is the perfect example of why bad journalism should be criticized, even if you don't like the person being interviewed, because eventually it will happen to someone you do like. I'm not condoning the publication and the execution of this article, but I do think the twins are being disingenuous in the second half of their statement. They never said women can't do well unless they're deemed attractive. They were trying to convey that women who show off their bodies and are attractive are more likely to get endorsements, which is objectively true. There's a saying, there are two sides to every story, his side, her side, and the truth. And that absolutely applies here. I encourage everyone to read the article for themselves and make their own judgment. I actually do think the article made some good points, which I will address later, but it's completely overshadowed by some stupid points they made and the snake tactics they used. They should have been upfront and honest about the intentions. PSA to anyone who is doing an interview with a news company, always secretly record it, because you never know what they will cut out and paste in a different context. And this is exactly what happened here. I'm going to list off things they did wrong. Besides lying about the nature of the interview, the most egregious offense is the fact the interview wasn't documented. There's no audio or video recording that we know of. None of the statements they claim the twins made are verifiable, and we have no idea what was the context they were saying. It's also clear they did no research on the topic or know anything about women's basketball. The fact they put Caitlin Clark in the same sentence as Keisha Washington because they average a similar amount of points per game shows their clear knowledge gap. The fact that UConn or South Carolina's players aren't mentioned even once when citing athletic achievement says all you need to know. They at least got the fact right that the twins are good, but not WNBA good. So it's not complete L, I guess. This is just outright stupid. Out of all the examples they could have used of black women not getting the exposure and money they deserve, they use Angel Reese and Flau'jae as an example. Seriously? They literally choose the two worst possible examples for their argument. There's actually no way they watch women basketball. What's crazy is that the article proves its own point by forgetting Aaliyah Boston's existence. She's so disrespected in terms of popularity, this article doesn't know who she is. What about Diamond Miller? She definitely didn't have enough coverage or NIL deals. Despite everything I said, I think it's important to acknowledge the few things the article gets right. We live in an outrage-first culture where even if someone makes valid points, they get dismissed because we don't like them. Here's 3 things they are absolutely right about. I think this is the biggest point the article makes that's valid. They mention how mid-level D1 athletes will get more deals than Olympic-level athletes because they are attractive. People constantly deny this, but it's the truth whether we want to admit it or not. Looks aren't the only deciding factor in getting deals, but it definitely gives you an advantage. Look at the top 15 projected NIL valuations for women's basketball and tell me with a straight face they are all the top 15 players in basketball. Some of them don't even start on their teams. The article mentions how the twins use their bodies to get to where they are. Unlike the article, I have no problem with the twins doing this. What I do have a problem with is the twins acting like they aren't doing this, and insisting they got successful purely off of basketball talent and being business savvy. When we can see clear as day that's not the case. Yes, their basketball and business smarts helped them become huge, but to act like their looks had no part in it is just insulting to our intelligence. Last but not least, they mention the favoritism with blondes. People will get butthurt about this, but it's the truth. Don't believe me? Look how hard they pushed Sabrina to be the face of women's basketball. When that didn't work, they moved on to Paige. Once Paige got injured, they had to temporarily bandwagon to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin has always been dropping 40 points, shooting logo threes, and making crazy passes, but the mainstream media barely talked about it until Paige got hurt. They had to briefly give Angel Reese her respect and props because her stardom got too big to ignore. But as soon as Hailey Van Lith announced her transfer to LSU, guess what happened? It's all about Hailey Van Lith. They barely even talk about Angel in a basketball context anymore. Eventually, I will do a more in-depth video on this topic, citing evidence, because I can already imagine people will deny this is happening, or that it has happened. But that's all I have for you guys. How do y'all feel about the article? Personally, I think it was conducted in bad faith, poorly researched, and created in an insulting way. The players aren't the problem, it's the game. It's not their fault the media and people have an affinity for attractive women and blonde girls. It's dumb to blame them for something they can't control. God gives us certain advantages in life, and there is nothing wrong with using them, whatever they might be. God gives every individual tools to be successful. You just have to figure out how to use them. What I know, this will be a controversial take, so I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for watching and subscribe because I got videos coming out soon.